How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to A Link Between Oracles. Haha. Jack is here with me. Today we are... What's up?
Hello.
Hello, Jack says.
Everybody.
So today's episode, we're going to be focusing on the 7th, and if we have time for it, we'll go to the 8th dungeon of both Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. So Jack's going to start us off, as he usually does, because Oracle of Seasons chronologically what happened before Ages. Mm-hmm. So Jack, how's the gameplay been going so far?
Really fun. Really fun. I found... because I was telling you earlier about... I think I was telling you earlier about the Golden Beasts.
Yes, I remember that.
There's the side quest that I didn't really know what was going on, and I only figured it out like half once I found the second version.
You didn't realize you were actually doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I found the final Golden Beast, and it took forever because you have to like explore each area in each season to see where it is. But the last one was easy because each one of them are in a specific season in a place, in the map. Gotcha. So like it's never the season that naturally appears there. So by the time I got to the fourth one, I knew that it was going to be in spring. I think it was spring because I think the one before that was summer. But so I was basically going to every different area because I've unlocked every part of the map except the final like evil castle where every time you try and walk in it, it's like a powerful force pulls you back.
Can't do it, yeah.
Roadblocks. So I was going around, and then to get to that place though, I had to do a quest for the 7th dungeon, which in Subrosia, that little like volcanic land under Lubrium, or is that yours?
Mine is Labrina.
Oh, then mine is Holodrum.
Holodrum is yours.
Under Holodrum, there is Subrosia, the place underground, and there is this marooned boat that is like coming out of the sand on one of their beaches, and then in the real world, there is the other end of the boat coming out, but you don't see that yet. You just see that one of the pirate crew is in the above world, and he's like, I'm looking for this bell. And captain won't let me go back until I find this bell. And so you have to go talk to the captain, and he's like, find the bell and I'll let you go. And you have to like memorize this code based on their drawers. So
are the pirates skeletons, by the way? Okay, cool. Just making sure, because I ran into
so they are a callback, yeah.
Gotcha.
Once you play Ages, you're like, oh, these guys.
Yeah.
So you're like exploring their like base of operations in Subrosia, and there's this one guy who like runs and is like, what's that code again? And then like goes over to these like desk drawers and like punches them in a code. And I stood there for like maybe 5-10 minutes putting the code in at those drawers, and I was like, nothing's happening, no sounds playing, what was the point of that? And then I went back to where the other pirate guy was standing, and I realized you could interact with the gate itself, and there was like pushable like parts, so that's where you put in the code, and then you go to this like sand area, and there's a lot of quicksand pits, and you find this guy whose head is stuck there, because you go on the other side of the ship, and this ghost appears, and he's like, I died in the sands and I can't be put to rest, I'm a pirate. And then so you carry around his skull that you find in one of the worst puzzles I think I've ever experienced in a Zelda game to date. And it's you have to carry him close to the hole of the quicksand pit, and only when he starts like going like meow, 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 that's the when you know that's the one. But it changes every single time you pick him up. So if you get hit, you drop him. If you fall into a pit, you drop him. And so basically there's those little like pincher things that come out of the beach.
Sure.
Those are there, and they spawn infinitely, so you can't kill them. So every time you pick it up, it changes. So you have sometimes like I went around this map maybe 5 or 6 times, which took a while because it's like 5 to 6 screens of multiple quicksand pits that you have to maneuver through while avoiding. So it was kind of like an action puzzle, but I did not like its application, and so that wasn't a lot of fun, and I was really frustrated. But then I found this rusty bell, and I had to go take it to get it re-tempered, basically, and make it all shiny. And I brought it back to the captain, and he was like, cool, we can finally set sail now that we've got me bell.
Mi belle.
Mi belle. And then, so they sail into the real world through the ground, because they're skeleton pirates. And they dock in this place, which now allows you to cross over this bridge that was fallen away. And then there was where I could finally change the season, explore the rest of the beach area, found the last golden beast, went back to the guy, and he gave me a ring that doubles my sword power without making me more vulnerable to damage. So
That's
it's like
nice.
the other one that's like, oh, you do more damage, but you take more damage.
Yep.
But now it's just straight up double damage.
That's awesome.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like it made that quest like way worth it.
Totally.
But then it's pretty straightforward to the next dungeon, which is called the Explorer's Crypt. And there's the item you get there is called the Rock's Cape, which I don't really like capes in general. I think they always look cheesy and bad. Cloaks are different, but capes just are dumb. I don't like capes. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't like Batman and Superman so much, is because they all have like
the cape, just
like too much cape. Anyway, so the Rock's Cape lets you jump 3 spaces at a time normally, and then if you're on using the Pegasus seeds, you can like clear like big gaps. So this dungeon is a lot of big open floors that you can fall into. It's a lot of like platforming, which I really enjoyed. It was nice to be like, oh my god, I'm just straight up platforming in this dungeon. But there was this really cool way that they set up this mini boss. The mini boss in this dungeon is 3 parts. The first part you come across almost immediately, and it's this ghost that appears when you light the torches in the room. And as you fight him, the torches go out. No, sorry. You light the torches, and the ghost shows up, and you have to fight him. And then in another room, you light more torches, and you fight a second ghost that has a different style of attack. So there's now 2 ghosts that have been set up that have different styles of attack. And then right before the actual mini-boss, there's this room where you enter and all the torches start going out. And if they go out, you everything goes black and you get transported to the first room in the dungeon again.
No.
It's kind of like a wallmaster,
but like in candle form.
But even in candle form. So you have to figure out how to get through this room to the staircase. And then almost the next room is the mini-boss. And the mini-boss is the same way. You have to light the torches for the ghosts to appear, but they go around kind of alternating to put torches out. Okay. And if you don't keep the torches lit while you fight these ghosts, you get sent back to the original room. So I thought this was really smart because it sets up what's going to happen both in the ghost attack patterns and what happens if the torches go out. So the player can only really be like, oh, it's my fault. I should have... They told me about what was going to happen. And it made it really nice because then I wasn't going, okay, not only do I have to figure out what these ghost attack patterns are because they're both very different, and try and keep these torches lit, I now know what's happening so I can kind of... what's the word?
Well, it teaches you.
Multitask. You can like multitask correctly.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, and it teaches you before it gets there. So that was really cool to see because I haven't seen a lot of that set up before, and it kind of felt like I was like, oh, I'm prepared, and I feel like I myself learned that because I had to beat that stupid torch room. And there's water in that room, too. So you have to swim under one of those spiky rolly things while these torches are going out.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
torture. And for the rest of it, it was just a lot, like I said, a lot of platforming. The boss was a 2-stage, like a dragon that had 2 stages. It had 2 heads, and it wasn't really challenging other than, like, you just had to survive. Which was kind of fun because it was just like after this kind of really hard mini boss and a lot of platforming, it was just like, go fight a dragon and beat it. Just have fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like I didn't have to use a specific item. I just kind of could use my sword and shield and win.
Nice.
So that was nice because it's always nice to see like you don't have to use the item that comes in the dungeon. Which I will say, handheld Zeldas are really good about not making you use that item immediately. They usually are like, oh, you're going to be using something from a previous dungeon. Or like, you've already used that item in the mini-boss. You can now, like, fight it how you want. So that was really nice.
So what did that cloak do again?
The Rock's Cape upgraded the Rock's Feather.
Oh, okay.
And made it so that I could jump 2 to 3 spaces at a time. Because now, kind of what Mosh does, or Moosh, kind of what he does in the way that he flies across multiples, you can kind of use Pegasus boots to kind of like travel those now.
Gotcha.
As well.
Okay,
so
cool.
That was about the 7th dungeon. I don't think there was really anything else after that that didn't lead into the 8th dungeon. So I'll let you talk about what you experienced in Oracle of Ages.
Excellent. So in Oracle of Ages, you leave the last dungeon, which is the Mermaid's Cave, which I just did, and the Maku Tree tells you that Queen Ambi has left the palace. And
finally.
Yes. And there's now a chance to save Nehru from the palace. So now there's a whole palace sequence. Obviously, that's the first thing you're going to go do, is try to save her. So you go try to find Nehru in the palace. You have to sneak past the guards, and in some cases, beat the shit out of the guards. And you eventually get to the throne room where Nehru is. And you have to fight Varen here. She's the boss. So, to recap, Varen is the, like, evil witch lady.
Varen took over Queen Ambi to take over Nehru, right?
Yes, but now she's in Nehru's body. She has, like, possessed Nehru's body entirely so that, you know, she has the powers of time or whatever. So she's basically like, ha ha ha, you cannot attack me, for I am in Nehru's body, and if you do so, then she will be damaged. Which, flash to Twilight Princess where you're beating the shit out of Zelda.
Right, it's just like, and sword.
So, that obviously did not apply here. You were just kind of like, I don't want to hurt you. So, this is kind of, for me, it was like, kind of bullshit. And I'll tell you why. The reason why it was kind of bullshit for me is because the way that you ended up doing it is you have to shoot Nehru with a mystery seed. So you shoot her with a mystery seed, and then you switch hook her body. Because when you shoot her with a mystery seed, Varen's spirit exits the body. Then you have to use a switch hook on Nehru to switch places with her to get close to the spirit. Then you have to go into your item fucking selection screen and choose the sword and attack the fucking spirit. So you're going into your selection screen during this fight, which I thought was bullshit. I was like, why do I have to do this?
You can also shoot the seed, and while it's flying, switch your weapon.
Yeah, but still, you have to go to your, like, inventory, like, during a fight, and I was kind of not a fan of that. I was like, this makes it really complicated.
To be fair, it's a Game Boy Color game. I'm sure if it was on the Game Boy Advance, the R and left trigger would have been able to switch quickly between, like, an item.
It would have been nice.
Yeah, it totally would have been, that would have been great.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me, is, like, the whole only 2 buttons inventory, and, like, I understand there's just a handicap that you have to play with in this version, in this game specifically, but it was annoying, and I hated it.
That's fair.
It was annoying, and I hated it.
That's a fair criticism, and it's just the limitations of the system.
Truly it is, yeah. But that being said and done, cool, you beat the shit out of Nehru. Queen Ambi, I mean, you don't beat the shit out of Nehru. You beat the shit out of Varen, and she exits Nehru's body.
Yay!
Right.
Success!
And then Queen Ambi comes back, and Varen just possesses her body.
Yay!
Failure!
Success!
Absolute failure. So then, once Nehru is saved, and Varen leaves her, possesses Queen Ambi's body, she basically is like, haha, I'm going to go now wreck shop in the past, basically, is what happens. So she goes back to the past. As the present returns to normal after, you know, Nehru is unpossessed, people are starting to unfreeze and not turn into stone anymore. They're like, you know, the monkeys are reappearing in the forest and everything is happy. But then you do notice that she is now creating a dark past that will affect the present. And the Maku tree kind of lets you know about this. You also pick up the tune of time, which is nice. So now you don't have the tune of, I think it's like currents and echoes. It's now you could just play the fucking song and you switch wherever you are. You switch to the other age. You don't have to go through portals. You don't have to do this and that. It simplifies a lot of things, which is nice.
And you can do it at a whim, too. So if you've moved to a new location, you can just play it there, and it creates a new portal there, rather than having to go all the way back to the one that you came through.
Exactly. Yeah. Simplifies a lot, which is great. So now you get notification that the next essence is echoing from inside a fish, which can only mean one thing. If you played any Zelda games before, it's going to be Lord Jabu-Jabu's belly. So eventually...
You can't see it, but I realized I just looked straight at the microphone and shook my head like I was on The Office.
Looks at microphone, shakes head. Eventually, I won't go through too much detail. You know what I will talk about, though, is the fact that you get a new sword and shield, which is badass.
You got a new sword and shield?
Yes. So, the trade... Yeah. So the trade quest finally keeps happening. You run into Maple again, and since you have this touching book, she gives you a magic ore in trade for this book.
Mm-hmm.
And you take the magic ore to, obviously, the guy, like the raft guy, who is like, I need this magic ore. You give it to him, and he gives you the sea ukulele. And you take the ukulele.
Dope!
Yeah.
Oh, I want just use that. I'm a bard, Link.
Right? Bard Link. That'd be fucking awesome. So you take this sea ukulele, and you go to this old Zora, and you give it to him, and he, because he's longing to hear the sound of the sea, and so he takes the ukulele, and he's like, thank you so much, and he gives you this broken sword. And you take the broken sword, and where else would you go but the restoration wall, where Patch will fix your sword up for you. And then there's like that mini game, and he has basically like, it's like there's it's a square room, and around the edge of the room there's a minecart going around. And as
I remember that.
As the minecart comes to a certain part in the center of the top of the room, you have to press a switch. You have to be on the switch during this. Meanwhile, those little turtle guys are walking around the room like assholes, trying to attack you, and you have to push them into these holes that are on each corner of the square room. And I was like, at first I was like, oh, well, just be smart and just like stay here and just like shield or whatever and just wait on this switch. And I'm like, well, the minecart will just go around a few times and I'll be fine. No, you have to kill those guys. Like I think you have to knock like 8 or 12 of them into the holes. And I was like, okay, fuck. So I did that. Finally
But don't you want to play a carnival game in the middle of a Zelda quest?
While there's like little porcupine guys attacking you, and yeah, no. But that's cool because you got the noble sword, which is great. And eventually you do some swimming around with your mermaid tail and stuff, and you find this level 2 iron shield, which inevitably will get eaten by a like, but cool. And then you make your way to Lord Jabu-Jabu's belly.
Fun.
Which is the worst dungeon in the world. It was very difficult for me. I got stuck several times and was just wasting so much time. It's like the water temple in Ocarina of Time in that there's a room where you get to change the water levels.
Right. Yeah.
So there's one that takes the water away, and there's 2 that raise the water levels. Which just sucked.
This.
But it's like the water, to get to that water level room was a bitch in the first place, and then like...
It doesn't really translate well to a handheld Zelda game.
None of it did. It was very challenging and very annoying. And not challenging in like, ooh, this is a fun challenge, but more challenging like, I hate my life right now, make it end.
Tedium. It's tedium.
It really was.
It's go switch it here, have to go back, switch it again.
And if it was like easier to access that room, that might make sense, but it's like, it was a confusing map in the first place. It's like, I don't even remember how to get back to that water level room. And it's like so much going back and forth. It was just annoying. Very tedious. Indeed. The cool thing about this is you fight this mini boss anglerfish, not even worth really talking about very much, other than you shoot him with a sword, or you shoot him with a seed shooter, and then you fuck him up.
Yeah.
But after you beat him, you do get the long switch, which is cool. So now you have a switch hook, which is a lot longer. So that helps you
reach places,
that you
switch
couldn't.
things.
Yeah, which
I still think it's funny that you got a switch hook, and I got this like magnetic glove.
Yeah.
It's 2 different applications, because I'm sure you can switch hook things, jump off somewhere, and then have it on the side you need it, right? Have they been having you like switch hook things multiple times to set them on switches?
Yes.
It's the magnetic ball you pull and push like your Magneto, and then like move it to a switch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah. So the boss here, you apply the switch hook to. His name is Plasmarine, and he's just like this little squid dude. Who shoots an orb at you, just retarded. Like, he shoots an orb at you, And the way that you beat him is, as he shoots this orb at you, you switch hook with him. So you switch places. He switches colors, so he's either blue or red. But then he'll switch to, like, red, and then the orb will hit him in the face. And, like, that was the entirety of the boss. It's like, do this 4 times. It was stupid. The dungeon was stupid. I hated everything about it. And it was over, and I was happy. And and the thing you get is the next essence of time was the rolling sea. The description was, the mystical song of the sea roars into a crashing wave that sweeps heroes out into adventure.
Ooh.
Yeah, whatever. Get me the fuck out of that dungeon. The end.
What are they called? What are yours called? The essences?
The rolling sea. Essences of time.
Yes,
Essence
let me
of time.
see. Essences of nature. Let me give you again my like yeah, yours have some great descriptions. Mine are Shakespearean. All right. I got the seed of life.
All right.
Life. Oh, this is actually pretty. No, it's not. Never mind. It's life begins anew when birds carry this, the seed of life, to new lands.
Crickets.
Oh man. I will say though that the last one I got actually was pretty good, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah, so, 7th dungeon. I mean, I think that they're trying. There were tedious, like, if you don't like platforming, I'm sure that the Explorer's Crypt would be tedious. Because it was a lot of jumping on a lot of moving platforms that were real fast.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're not good at it or you just don't like it, it'll suck.
Yeah.
And a lot of the solutions were, get a Pegasus seed, jump over here, blah.
Repeat.
Yeah. I'm really glad that I didn't have to go inside Jabu-Jabu.
Fuck you. Bye.